I had like 30 minutes remaining on this. Yesterday, I covered most of the conversation. Obviously, Tucker Carlson himself. I know. It's 4:44. Okay, we have 45 more minutes of politics before I move on to fun stuff. I've already region locked myself. Don't you fucking worry about a thing, baby. Okay, it ain't no thing but a chicken wang. We are doing it. I'm fucking region locked. Okay, I'm hour locked. I'm gatekeeping. I'm girl bossing. I'm doing all of those things. Okay. So here, it is already 125 speeded. What I was saying is yesterday when we watched this for the first time, I was shocked. I was shocked at how pornographic it was. I was shocked that Tucker Carlson, like Vladimir Putin, basically said, "What that mouth do?" And Tucker Carlson was like, "Let me tell you, I'm hungry. Okay, I'm hungry for more." I mean, he very clearly like shitted on him to his face. He spent like 30 minutes being like, Ukraine is Russia, and also that's the reason why I invaded Ukraine, and not because of NATO. Shut the fuck up. I love the idea of Ukraine being Russia. It actually is Russia. Here's where it begins, history. He basically vindicated a lot of the liberal posturing. I mean, he's a classic ultra nationalist. He is a classic ultra nationalist guy who is engaging in an irredentist campaign. That's it. There's no other way to look at it. It's it. Yeah, Tucker Carlson. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of funny meme that came of it. Tucker Carlson and Ukraine seems like a yikes for me, buddy. First of all, he did not say that. Tucker Carlson did not say, and Ukraine seems like a yikes for me, buddy. But here's what Vladimir Putin did, uninterrupted. My Russian but not hog mother spent like 2 hours today explaining to me in exactly the same level of deep Russian history lore how actually Ukraine is in fact not Russian. I just don't understand what that has to do with anything. It's the same bullshit that fucking Israel tries to claim. Okay? It's bullshit. It doesn't fucking work that way. There are obvious differences, but like that's just, you're making a ridiculous living room blood and soil ass argument, and it's also not correct anyway. Okay, like that's why I said there are differences. You said, what about Crimea? I don't know if you're asking legitimately because you like genuinely try to understand and make sense of it, or if you think it's like a good opportunity to be like, Hasan, hypocritical much. Like there's a difference there. Okay, for example, not to relitigate this over and over again, but here I'll use the exact same fucking argument. And same for Taiwan. Exactly. Great. What about Taiwan? Okay. What about Taiwan? Like, Taiwanese people, if they want to have some semblance of autonomy away from China, they have every right to do so. Okay? But Taiwanese independence, while it is certainly popular, especially amongst younger people, is still not the overwhelming majority position. It is the secondary overwhelming majority position. The overwhelming majority position currently is don't rock the fucking boat. This is an important goddamn trade partner. Okay? And why do they feel that way? Well, it's not because China is awesome or it's awesome to them. They feel that way not because of the blood and soil argument either. They feel that way because they don't want they don't want the smoke. They don't want Taiwan to turn into Ukraine, for example. Okay? That's it. America has some different opinions, but regardless. So the point is, regardless of all of that shit, when we're talking about Russia in particular, I think my assessment after listening to what Vladimir Putin had to say, which for the record, he did have a lot of moments of clarity, which I think looks really fucking bad for the Western world in general, because it just looks good for him. Like, they rarely talked about Ukraine. They rarely talked about his fucking L's. Tucker Carlson literally let him, okay? Tucker Carlson literally let him fucking run train, okay? Like, that's crazy. That's a huge fucking L. And he hit a lot of the high notes in the process that play really well to a conservative audience. He also did Nazi apology a little bit too, but not even talking about the historical memes here. I'm talking specifically about like, I'm talking specifically about like, you know, America and the SWIFT system, for example, and how the SWIFT system has, and it being weaponized against Russia, has made other people recognize that like maybe America can like implement sanctions on them as well, which will cause them to get off the dollar. I don't even think that that is 100% real. I think that's a real fear that a lot of people have, a lot of nations have, of course. But it's, you know, nobody's moving away. Come on, let's be for fucking real for a second. It's 80% of the entire global economy running on the dollar. But yeah, the BRICS system is not like a valid competitor, in my opinion, and I don't think any serious economist would see it as such. But that plays well to a Western audience of like both hogs and even maybe people who are on the left who have a different opinion, like the BRICS riders on the left, right? There's some of them out there. Richard Wolff does? Yeah, well, I trust Yanis Varoufakis more than I trust Richard Wolff when it comes to international currency conversations and things beyond like a pretty good assessment on Marxist perspectives. Marxist history. Is a great communicator. But I think Yanis Varoufakis is probably a little bit better at making these assessments. Anyway, so as I was saying, this was a major dub for Vladimir Putin. Okay, and I think that it could have only been done if you had someone as hungry as Tucker Carlson for like clout. There were funny moments where he like defended China and he basically forced Tucker to concede in defending China. That's true, but I feel like he also played up the historical claims to Ukraine too much compared to other issues. Even pro-Russians, I feel, understand that this stupid historical claims forming part of the foundation of his invasion look terrible. Yeah, for sure. I think that I think that there are definitely a lot of boomers, I'm sure, in Russia that love the notion of like restoring the glory of the USSR, not for communism, obviously, but simply for like the idea of being a global hegemonic power again in a multipolar world and stuff like that. And those guys maybe love the historic claims laid to Ukraine, but it's just so bad. It's just such a dumb fucking thing to do. It is so dumb to do. And you are absolutely going to push away more people. Okay? However, outside of his really faulty justifications for why he had to have invaded Ukraine and then rarely ever talking about it after that, I think that there were a lot of moments that looked really bad or looked really good for him from a propaganda purpose. Because as I've said this before, America is bad, right? So he could just sit there, and if he never talks about what Russia is doing and only talks about what America is doing, he can make a coherent argument about how Russia is small bean, actually, even if it's not the case, especially as it pertains to him invading Ukraine. Okay? But he can always turn around and talk about the hypocrisy of the United States of America on every single issue, because it's true. It is. America is bad. We are very hypocritical. So I think he did a a decent job in that front of shifting the conversation completely away from all of his massive failures, all of the violent actions, but also even like massive failures from the perspective of like being pro-Russia, right? It's just not it was a big dub for Vladimir Putin, not a very good moment for I don't know, America lovers who want to not be captivated by Vladimir Putin, or not a good moment for people who want to continue funding the Ukrainian defense.
Give everything needed for us to return.
He has talked about the historic claims before Ukraine's defense